The wind howled across the barren plains of Wyoming, carrying with it the dust of dreams lost to time and hardship. In the heart of that endless land stood a small, leaning cabin, its wooden boards weathered and gray, its windows clouded from years of storms and solitude. Inside, a woman sat by the fire, her face half lit by the orange glow. Her name was Clara May, and for as long as she could remember, she'd been told that she wasn't the kind of woman men fell in love with. Too round in the face, too soft in the body, too plain, too quiet, too much of everything that didn't fit the world's idea of beauty. But in her hands was a kind of grace the world often overlooked. Her touch could turn flour and water into comfort, her heart could make a meal taste like home. She'd come west with a dream, to start over after being left behind by a man who promised forever, then vanished when life grew hard. The settlement she lived in was small, rough, and full of men hardened by loss, work, and whiskey. They'd laugh when she passed by, not cruelly, but with that kind of careless indifference that cut deeper than mockery. No one saw Clara, not really. Not until Ethan Cole, the rancher from the next valley over, came looking for help. Before we go further, if you believe in kindness, in second chances, and in the beauty hidden in ordinary souls, please take a moment to like, comment, share, and subscribe to Kindness Corner. Your support helps us keep telling stories that remind the world that love isn't about perfection, it's about heart. Ethan Cole wasn't the kind of man who spoke much. He'd lost his wife and child 2 winters ago to fever, and since then, his ranch had gone silent. The hands who worked for him left one by one, unable to bear the stillness of a man who'd forgotten how to smile. He came into the settlement one morning, tall and broad, his face lined by sun and sorrow. The local storekeeper had told him there was a woman nearby who could cook better than anyone in the county. He hadn't been looking for company, just someone to keep the ranch fed while he buried himself in work. When he knocked on Clara's door, she wiped her hands on her apron, heart trembling. He stood there, framed by the dust and light, eyes as gray as the winter sky. "You the one who can cook?" he asked, voice low and measured. Clara nodded, unable to meet his eyes. "They say you need help at your ranch," she murmured. "I can cook. I can clean. I don't ask for much." And then, as if the truth escaped her without permission, she added quietly, "No one loves a fat girl, sir, but I can cook." The words hung in the air, fragile and raw. Ethan blinked, something flickering in his gaze, not pity, not laughter, but a kind of recognition. He didn't say a word, only nodded once and told her to pack her things. The journey to the ranch was long and cold. She sat in silence beside him on the wagon, her heart thudding with fear and a strange kind of hope. When they reached his land, Clara gasped. The ranch was vast but lifeless, barn doors hanging open, fences broken, the fields unplowed. It looked like a heart that had once been full of love but had stopped beating. From that day on, Clara worked tirelessly. Before dawn, she was in the kitchen, kneading dough, boiling beans, frying eggs. She repaired curtains, scrubbed the floors, and slowly, warmth returned to the house. The first time Ethan came in and smelled fresh bread, something inside him cracked. For the first time in years, he sat down at the table and ate every bite. He didn't speak, but when he looked up, Clara saw it, the faint glimmer of gratitude. The days turned into weeks, and the winter snow gave way to the first whispers of spring. Clara would hum as she worked, her voice soft and trembling like sunlight through curtains. She didn't try to make conversation, she simply filled the silence with care. She found joy in small things, patching a torn sleeve, baking pies from what little fruit she could find, mending broken furniture. And slowly, Ethan began to notice. He noticed how the house no longer felt like a grave. He noticed the way she looked at the land, like it was still worth saving. He noticed the strength in her hands, the kindness in her eyes. But Clara didn't notice his gaze. In her mind, love wasn't for women like her. She'd overheard the whispers from town, that rancher's desperate, hiring a woman like her, and each word cut deeper than she let on. Then one evening, after a long day repairing fences, Ethan came in to find Clara crying quietly by the fire. Her hands were red from work, her hair undone. On the table lay a half-burnt loaf of bread. She'd been too distracted to take it out in time. "I'm sorry," she whispered, wiping her tears. "I try my best, but maybe it's not enough." Ethan stood there for a long moment before stepping forward. "Clara," he said, his voice rough, "this ranch has been dead for 2 years. You brought it back to life. That's not enough. That's everything." Clara turned, her breath catching. No one had ever spoken to her that way, not with respect, not with warmth. "I'm not," she began, but he stopped her. "Don't say you're not enough. I've seen strength in you that most men don't have." He looked around the room, at the light that had returned, at the smell of bread and wood smoke. "You made this place a home again." From that night, something changed. Ethan began helping her in the kitchen, awkwardly at first. He'd sit beside her as she baked, sometimes silent, sometimes sharing memories of his wife and little girl. Clara listened, never judging, never rushing him. And with every story he shared, the pain inside him loosened. Summer arrived with golden fields and long, quiet evenings. One afternoon, Clara was out by the river washing linens when she slipped on a rock and fell, scraping her arm. Ethan, who had been nearby repairing a fence, rushed over. When he saw the blood, his heart jolted. He tore a strip from his shirt and wrapped her arm carefully, his hands shaking more than hers. "You need to be careful," he muttered, his voice breaking. She smiled through the pain. "You sound like someone who cares." For a long moment, their eyes met. He didn't pull away. "I do," he said softly. "More than you think." Word spread through the settlement soon after, that the lonely rancher and the fat settler woman had found something like love out on the plains. Some mocked it, others smiled quietly. But neither Clara nor Ethan paid attention. They had found peace, laughter, and a kind of love that didn't need to be loud to be real. Years later, when the ranch had flourished and flowers grew again around the cabin, a young traveler stopped by. He'd heard the stories of the rancher and the woman who could cook miracles. He expected to see a plain house and 2 tired souls. Instead, he found warmth, music, and laughter spilling through open windows. Clara, her hair now streaked with silver, moved through the kitchen with the same gentle grace. Ethan, older but still strong, stood beside her, helping her stir the stew. The traveler smiled. "They say love finds the beautiful," he said quietly. Ethan looked up, eyes soft with memory. "No," he said, glancing at Clara, who smiled back. "Love finds the kind." If this story touched your heart, if you believe love is not about appearances but about the courage to be kind, please take a moment to like, share, comment, and subscribe to Kindness Corner. Your engagement helps keep stories like this alive for those who need a little hope in their day. Backhand index pointing right special request, tell us in the comments, have you ever met someone whose kindness changed your life? Your story might inspire someone who needs it today.